Hey, buddy, how you doing? It's 17 January. Happy Martin Luther King Day to a great man. Okay, I'm here to talk about today as a lifelong Dallas Cowboys fan since 1976, the year of the red stripe helmet, Roger Staubach and all that. I've been a Cowboys fan since 76, and needless to say, I'm very disgusted. I'm going to be frank and honest, okay? I have all these fans, oh, you're a hater and this and that, and Cowboys fan forever. Look, calling a spade a spade. The problem with the Dallas Cowboys, per se, is a lot of issues, but it's not Dak Prescott. It's not Elliott. It's not this. It's not that. It's not even the coach. The problem is Jerry Jones, okay? Jerry Jones took over in 1989 and fired Tom Landry, which I really didn't have an issue with. A lot of people do. I didn't. The way he did it wasn't very classy, but let's face it, Landry had to go. Landry was a great coach, but the last 3 years the Cowboys are failing, and the game was passing him by. They would have never had the early success in the 90s had Landry stayed. The one and only thing that Jerry Jones, well, he actually did two things decent, but the main thing he ever did was hire Jimmy Johnson. Okay? That was it. Because of Jimmy Johnson's excellence, who was the best coach in football at that time, the Cowboys quickly turned things around without the free agency. They did it all without that and turned themselves into an efficient machine that won two in a row in 92 and 93, and then had not Jimmy Johnson left, probably 4 or 5. They were that good, and they were that motivated, and they were that prepared for every games. But then Jerry Jones steps in 1994, and we don't know really if he was fired or he quit or a combination of both, and gets rid of the one asset that gave him what he has. Now, the Cowboys did squeak out a third Super Bowl, mostly because they still had players residual from Jimmy Johnson, and Neil O'Donnell decided to throw the ball away. That's how we won 95 Super Bowl. It wasn't impressive like 92 or 93. But since then, the Cowboys have won 4 playoff games in 26 years. Through 1996 through 2021 is 26 years inclusive. And this once great organization, idolized by many, has won 4 playoff games. They're all wild card games. They haven't been to the Final Four since the Super Bowl year of 95. They have not won a divisional playoff game before. They won in 96 over Minnesota the very next year with Aikman and company. They didn't win until 13 years later with Romo in wild card 2009. And Romo won a second in 2014 over Detroit. And Prescott won in 2018 over Seattle, all in Dallas. They haven't won on the road since 1992. They have been the epitome of mediocrity since 1996. They'll have a good year and followed by half-ass. You expect next year to be less, much less, because that's what they've done every time. 12, 13 wins, come back, they get 5. Because Jerry Jones doesn't know what he's doing. He might be smart as a businessman. He doesn't know football. He micromanages. He's arrogant. He doesn't listen to his coaches. He has to take press. He's the only owner that does that after games. He's never learned. He signs ridiculous contracts. The only other thing that he did was decent was sign Dion, which they wouldn't have needed if Jimmy was there, but they did need him in 95. And he did do what he had to do. Dion was a lot of that O'Donnell throwing to Larry Brown, which gave us the Super Bowl 95. O'Donnell will say over and over that he was scared to throw to Dion's side. Dion took away half of the field. Okay, so yeah, he was worth it. But we wouldn't have needed that because we would have had better drafts. Players wouldn't have left en masse as they did when Jimmy left. So after the Dion signing, he got him away from San Francisco and got us a Super Bowl. Jerry Jones hasn't done anything when it comes to signing. Oh, he can get good players. The Cowboys can draft good players. They've been doing that for years, even till now. They don't know how to develop them. They're sloppy. Look at the game yesterday, okay? Oh, they're going to want to blame Dak. They're going to blame the coach. It was a team effort, okay? If the 49ers actually had a better quarterback than they do, that game would have been a blowout. Dallas wasn't prepared. They're the most penalized team in the league this year. That's not by accident. It's not the refs' fault. It's undisciplined. They haven't been able to run the ball consistently since like the first third of the season. They couldn't run the ball all yesterday. They couldn't stop the run. 49ers had almost 200 yards rushing without a running quarterback. Okay? The offensive line, once one of the best in the league, is old, overrated, often injured, with lack of depth. They signed a running back, which I was totally against. A lot of fans were, but a lot of fans, just sign, let's go to the Super Bowl. This is his third year since he signed. He's getting worse every year. And he's getting older. Running backs don't have the shelf life when Emmitt Smith and all of them played. Those guys lasted. Barry Sanders, well, he quit early, but that's on his own. Walter Payton, John Riggins. John Riggins, the age of 34, had his best season ever in 1983 at the age of 34. MVP with 24 touchdowns at the age of 30. They don't do that anymore, running backs. You'll get a few every now and then that last for a while, like Frank Gore and stuff. But generally speaking, you're going to get, if you get 5 years out of a running back, good years, after that he's in the down. Elliott's on the down. We wasted all that money and not even close to a Super Bowl. Now he's on Prescott, all this money. Ridiculous. I think Prescott's a good quarterback. I think with everything going, he could lead you to a couple playoff victories. I think he could, but he's not a great quarterback. Okay? He's not Mahomes. He's not like that. He's not like Rodgers, Brady. I don't think he's ever going to be like that. And yet he's making one of the top dollars in the league. DeMarcus Lawrence, big contract. All these contracts, he's done it over the years. Marion Barber, who was a decent running back, signs him to a contract, becomes a bum. Patrick Creighton signs him to a contract. 2 years later, he's off for San Diego, never heard from again. The guy's done it over and over. Miles Austin, big contract, never heard from him. It's just a constant shelling out money, the wrong time, for the wrong people. Roy Williams, remember the safety Roy Williams? No, actually, no, I'm not him, not the safety one. The receiver Roy Williams, he panicked and got him at, I think it was 2009. That was a horrible receiver. We gave a 2 draft pick for him. He doesn't know what he's doing. As a result, the mediocrity for 26 years from an organization that was once, is still living off their name, America's Team, which was actually coined in 1978 under Landry's greatness. And then Jimmy Johnson kept it up. But this team is living off a reputation, and they're a laughing stock for guys like Stephen A. Smith. You know, Stephen A. Smith, people hate his, he blowhard. If you want to shut him up, stop producing. We haven't done it in 26 years. I mean, I wasn't surprised they lost yesterday. Arizona only won 1 out of the last 5 games of the regular season, and it was against Dallas. The Cowboys rack up 40, 50 points against the scrums of the league, their own division, the Giants, the Eagles. They've scored over 40 points in one game against the Giants, 40 and 50 against the Eagles, 56 against the Washington football team. But who cares? Those teams aren't the teams you have to beat in the playoffs. Dak's Prescott's record against playoff teams since he's been in the league is 11-24. 11 wins and 24 losses. Now, again, I'm not going to say it's just him. There's a lot of problems internally. The coaches are always puppet coaches. He won't, when he does have a decent coach like Bill Parcells, who turned them around, he always steps in. That's one of the reasons Parcells left. He couldn't get the team to fully integrate. Of course not. You get this micromanaging owner here who has to meddle. It's the same thing every year. It's not being a hater. Overpay contracts that shouldn't be paid. I mean, why do you think the Patriots won for so many years? Now, I know they're not what they were, but why do you think they won? Yeah, they had Brady, okay. Also, because they never overpaid anybody. That team was never overpaid anybody. Who Brady? Never overpaid anybody. Never had a running back more than a couple of years. Never had a premier running back. The closest they came was the guys they got from the Bengals in 2004 or 5, Corey Dillon, I believe. But he was at the end of his line. They've never had a top-rated running back. If you look at the Patriots' talent over the years, even when they were winning all those years in Super Bowls, other teams had equal to as much talent on paper. But it was managed well. They played as a team. You knew when you came to New England and you're going to play with Brady under Belichick, you put your ego aside You come here, you're not coming here to be the most richest player in the league, but you're coming here to have chances for championships. And players would do that. In Dallas, it's all about fanfare. Jerry Jones makes money with the Cowboys. Look, as long as Jerry Jones keeps this up, if you get rid of the coach, get rid of McCarthy, yeah, he's a half-ass coach. We know that. He's not the greatest, but the one they had before is even worse, Garrett. And who's he going to get if he gets rid of McCarthy? Another yes man. There is no decent coach that's going to want to, real decent coach, that's going to want to sit there and coach for Jerry Jones. I wouldn't. He doesn't let you do what you want. He always has the final word. And now we're making excuses. Prescott complaining about penalties. Jones, instead of sitting there and covering, say it's Super Bowl or bust. That's what you put to you sit there and say you should be encouraging the great season. Let's come back next year and do no, not bust. You actually, I mean, if anybody actually expected, I'm not surprised with this. What happened yesterday? Matter of fact, I predicted them to lose, and that wasn't even the toughest team or the toughest quarterback they had to play. They couldn't even get it done at home. I mean, 7 points after 3 quarters. They do it all the time against these good teams. They'll start off, they're terrible for the first 3 quarters, and then they make a comeback in the fourth quarter. Everybody complains about this. Should have been penalties. And that last play, you have second down at the 40-yard line. You did good to get from the 20 to 40. That's the most you could expect. You had 14 seconds to go with no timeouts. The last thing you want to do is keep the ball in the play. You want to get it to the sidelines or out of bounds. What are you doing running the ball? I mean, at the 40-yard line, you're close enough for 3 shots to the end zone. 2 anyways, possibly 3. Good. There's a good chance you get 3 if you need it, whether incomplete or you get intercepted or you get the touchdown. But you could have 2, very much chance of 3. You run the ball, even if he spikes the ball in time with like a second left at the 25-yard line. Now you only have 1 chance. It's not like you're at the 3 or 2-yard line. You would still have to leave it in the end zone. You've given yourself 1 chance versus you could have had 3. It was second down from the 40-yard line, second, third, fourth. You could have had 3 shots. That's the most you could have expected in that situation. That was pathetic. That was probably the worst play this year. It's laughable, but it just exemplifies this organization. That's Rick here. Hey, look, doesn't mean I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm just seeing this year after year after year after year. You know, to give you a good year. Next year, it's 12-5 this year, right? Don't you expect that next year? I hope I'm wrong. And if I am, I'll be the first one to come on and say I am. But I haven't been wrong in like 20 years with this team. It's not because I'm smart. It's because I just know what's going on. It's predictable. Like Stephen Smith, it's predictable. Every time Dallas has a year like this where they get 11, 12, 13 wins, they come back next year and they get like 5 or 6. Next year, probably 8. I'm saying 8 and 9. Why? Because if they do all the time, they've never been able to have 2 banner years in a row in eons since 95. All right. The year after that, they won 10 after winning 12 in 95. That was the last year they have won double-figure games back-to-back, 95 and 96. That 2014, they won 12. Romo, next year, Romo went hurt, they won 4. Okay? They won 10 a couple years ago when they won a division. They beat Seattle. Next year, they won 8. Last year, they won 6 last year. It's always the same. Win and lousy season after. Win half-ass season, average season after. Always the same. It's Rick here. Have a great day, Martin Luther King Day. And at this point, the Cowboys out. Heck with it. Go Rodgers.